Hello and welcome back. So in the previous videos, we looked at different type of layout containers provided by Elementor, and we also went through some of the basic elements that Elementor provides you. We had a look at the heading element, the text editor, the image, the spacer, the video element, the map element, icon element, and the divider element. Now that you understand these elements clearly, in this video, let's move forward and understand about the general elements. So are you ready? Let's go. So what are the general elements? The general elements are the elements which are under this section, general. Now these are a slightly more advanced elements as compared to the basic elements that we saw in the previous video. Let's go through them one by one. Now the first element over here you can see is the tab element. Now this element helps you create a tabular kind of a structure on your website. You have tab 1, tab 2, tab 3. So like this, under each tab you can put different content items. From the content tab over here, you can decide what should be the name of each tab. It can be School 1. So you can see the tab name is changed. This could be, the title could be School 2. The title of this tab could be School 3. So now we have changed the title of all the three tabs. Now inside each tab, you can also add different kind of content. Here you have the direction in which the tab names should appear. So here by default it's above. You can also have them at the bottom. You can have them on the right hand side, you can have them on the left hand side. So you can basically play with these settings over here and set up or decide what should be the look and feel of this tab section. So under style, you can basically decide how much should be the gap between each one of these tabs, the distance from content. So this area is the content area. So how much distance you want to add between the content and the tab. Should there be a background color or a background image in the tab? Should the tabs have a border radius or a border, or should there be any padding? You can also design the titles by deciding what kind of typography you want to use, which is what kind of fonts and font size you want to use. If you want the tab headings should be of a specific color, so you can assign that from over here. See, the color of the tabs has changed. What do you want to happen when somebody hovers on it? So all this hover animation can be decided from here. You can decide if there should be any icon inside over here and where should it be placed. You can decide the content. Should it be having some kind of a, so this content section, right? You can decide if there should be a background color for this, right? So like this, you can make all these changes from the style section inside tabs. And from advanced, you can manage the padding, the margins, and the typical settings that you manage under the advanced tab. So the management of every element is more or less similar in Elementor. Now I'll just show you an example of how a styled tab element looks like. So I'll show you one of my websites. You can see here on this website I have this tab where every tab is for a different class, right? This is for nursery, this is for kindergarten, and inside every tab the content is changing, the image, the text, and these sub icon boxes are also changing, right? So this is how you design a tab for your website. So that was the tab element. Now moving forward, let's look at what is an accordion. Let's pull that element to the canvas. Now if you see, the behavior of accordion is something similar to tab, but its purpose is different. So if you see, you have this accordion which is open, so you see a minus sign here, but the closed accordions are showing with this plus sign. So when I click on this plus, this accordion will open and the other accordion will stay closed. So the purpose of this is to create a section which is something like a FAQ section. So let me show you an example. So on my website, you see this section. At the bottom of every tutorial or blog, I have this FAQ section where I have placed the questions that people ask me, and then I have their answers inside them. So the heading of this accordion is basically the question, and then the answer is inside it in a text form. So this is a use case of this accordion element. So again, similar to the tab element, you can decide the content of the accordion from here, from the content tab. So here you can change the titles. You can basically decide the position where the accordion title should be placed. Should it be stretched out? Should it be on the left hand side? If you want an icon, you can add that icon and also decide the icon's position from here. So like that, if you are creating an FAQ, you can switch that on and create an FAQ schema. So like this, all these content related settings you can do from the content tab. Then you can style the accordion from here. You can adjust the spacing between items, distance between content and the heading, the border radius, the padding. You can specifically design the heading part, the size of the heading, what should be the size of the heading, what should be the spacing between the icon and the heading. So all of this, the color of the heading can be decided from here. So you can change the color from here. So here I've changed the icon color, right? From here I can change the heading color. I can basically do settings for the content area, and inside the content area I can actually pull some of the basic elements from here, and I can create a heading inside here also. So first of all, let me click and add a container, and now inside a container I can add a heading. I can add some text under the heading. So like this, you can actually manage what you want to put inside each of these accordion. Here again, I can add another container. Let's choose this. I can add maybe an image inside this container. So like this, you can control and decide what goes inside each of these accordion containers. So see, if I open the first item, I can see this heading and the text. But if I open the second accordion item, then I see an image inside it. So you can basically use this for different purposes on your website. Again, the advanced tab lets you manage the spacing, the padding, and other features like your motion effects, your borders, masking, responsiveness, and all those features. So that was basically the accordion element. Now let's move forward. Let's look at the image box. Now this image box element is very useful, and it gives an amazing look to your website. So I will first show you some of the use cases on my other websites. You can see on this website or over here, right? You can see that I've created these small cards. So this is basically built using an image box. I have an image over here, there is a heading, there is some text over here. So these kind of cards can be created using an image box. Here also you can see that I've created these events using image box. So this image box element can be easily configured. So you can see from the content tab, you can upload an image. So say I have uploaded some of the images, so I can maybe select this one, right? I've uploaded the image. I can decide the heading. I can add some text under it. If I want, I can put a link over here. I can decide what is the meta tag of this particular element. Then I can style over here. So if I want the image to be on the left hand side, I select this. If I want the image to be on the top, if I want the image on the right. So all this can be done over here. The vertical alignment of the content also can be managed from here, right? Image spacing, the space between image and the text can be managed here. Content spacing, the spacing between different content items can be managed here. Then I can actually decide the width of the image from here. The height of the image can also be controlled from here, right? So all these controls are available, so you can use them as per your liking, and you can basically adjust. I can even add a rounding or a border radius to the image from here, right? I can also have a box shadow, so I can add a little shadow under the image from here, right? You can just completely change the look and feel of your page using these elements, right? So if I want any kind of a hover effect, I can add that from here. I can also style the content, this part from here. So the title of the content, I can decide what should be the typography, the font, the weight, the size of the font, right? Then I can also decide the color of the heading from here. Then again, the typography of the text and the color of the text can be controlled from here. So like this, you can completely change the look. You saw what we started with, and now what we have is completely different, right? Then again, the spacing and the layout can be controlled from the layout tab. So that was the image box. Now let's look at the icon box. Icon box is very similar to the image box element, but there is a slight difference that instead of an image, it has an icon over here. So let me first show you some examples of an icon box from one of my live websites. So we are back to that school website, and here you can see that inside the tabs I have actually placed this icon box. So this icon box has these custom icons that I have uploaded, the heading, and there is text under it. So you can also create such icon boxes on your website. So let's see what we have here. So under the content tab, you can upload your own icon in SVG format, or you can select one of the icons from the icon library that it already has. So for example, we select this icon. We can basically decide the layout of the icon. Should it be inside some kind of a circle or rounded or square background? You can add a title, change the title. You can add or change the text here. You can have a link over here. So what this does is that when somebody clicks on this icon, he's taken to the Google website, right? I will keep it default. So now under the style tab, you can actually style the icon position. So now it's on the left hand side, it's on the right hand side, should be on the top, or should it be at the bottom? So let's keep it on the left hand side for now. I can decide the vertical alignment. Now you can see everything is touching the top. So I want it to be in the middle. So now the icon is in the middle. From this, I can actually make it stick to the bottom. So let's keep it in the middle. This is the alignment of entire content in the box. So let's keep it on the left hand side. Left is better, right? Then icon spacing. This is the spacing that you can add between the icon and the text. It can be adjusted from here. Content spacing, which is the spacing between these heading and the text, can be controlled from here. Right? Now you can specifically design the icon in terms of its color. If I want the primary icon to be of this color, but on hover I want it to change to the accent color. So you can see the changes happening here. You can change the transition duration, you can change the size. All of this can be managed from here. You can rotate the icon. I don't know why it's not rotating, but it should actually. Then coming to content, you can decide the typography of the title, the color of the title. I want the color to be my primary color. If I want the title to change its color on hover, I can do that setting from here. Then description, I can decide the typography. I want it to be accent, and I can change the color to the text color. So like this, you can actually style the entire icon box. From the advanced tab, you can actually adjust the margins, the padding, and all the other advanced features. So that was the icon box. Now the next element is the image carousel. Now image carousel actually lets you create a carousel where you can have multiple images and they slide across the page one by one. So let me show you how that is done. So if we click on add image and select multiple images, right, we can create a carousel of multiple images, as many images we want, right? Now all these images will slide across the page one by one. We can decide the resolution of the image, what should be the number of slides that should be shown on a page. So I can keep it 2, or I can increase it to 3 at a time. Slides to scroll, how many slides should scroll at a time, right? I can decide, say let's make it 2. Then do you want to have navigation? Yes, this is this arrow and dots, right? So this is the navigation. So I can decide if I want only arrows, only dots, or both arrows and dots. Or if you want to remove it completely, you also have this none option over here. So basically you can do a lot of changes from here. And moving on, you can even style your carousel. You can have the position of arrows inside or outside the images. So now you can see the arrows are outside, right? You can decide the size of these arrows. You can decide the color of these arrows. I want them to be more visible, so I've made them darker color, right? Now pagination can be outside or inside. So right now these are the paginations. So you can decide where it should be. The spaces between these dots can be arranged from here. The size of the dots can be decided from here. Color of the dots can also be controlled, right? So active color, you can maybe make it accent or something darker actually. So the active dot is in dark color, rest of them are in the primary color. We can add spacing, right? I can add some spacing between these images. I don't want to be stuck to each other, so I can adjust from here. I want to add a border to these images, you can do that from here. Say I want a 1 pixel border and the border color should be primary, so we can do that from here. We can even add some kind of a border radius to these images. So now the images have a little rounding around them, right? So we have styled this image box. From this advanced tab, we can add some margin between this carousel and the elements before it. So let's make it a 30 pixel spacing. So now there's a little breathing space, and on the inside also now the images are touching the top. So let's add some padding to the top over here also. Let's add a 30 pixel padding over here. So now it looks much better. So that was the image carousel, right? Now moving forward, let's look at the next element. The next element is this basic gallery. A gallery is nothing but a collection of lot of images. So similar to the image carousel, you can add multiple images to a gallery and they will be visible to your site visitors. Now here you can create, say, 4-column or 2-column gallery or a 3-column gallery. You can basically, when the user clicks on it, where should he go? So he should go to the media file, attachment page, or none. No action should be taken. The lightbox setting is something that I will show you in the future. Now order by, you can decide the order of these images in the gallery. Now this is where you can style the gallery. The gap can be customized. So I can increase or decrease the spacing between these images vertically. Right? I can add a border, I can add some kind of a caption, I can style the caption over here, right? So I can even adjust the margins and paddings from here by adding some kind of a margin, say 50 pixel margin between this element and this element, and then another 50 pixel on the inside. So we can basically style the gallery like this. Right? This is a basic styling, don't worry about it, but I just want you to understand what a gallery does. Now moving on, the next element is the icon list. Now, icon list is something that basically is a list that contains an icon, a little bit of text, and you can also add a link to that text, right? So one use case of this would be like in the footer we show the address, the telephone number, and the email ID. That is one just basic example. So let me show that to you on one of the websites. On this website, yeah, here you see, right, I have shown this address. So this is an icon list. You can see the icon and the text next to it, then the icon and then the text next to it. So this is an example of an icon list. And again, the icon list can be, the content of the icon list can be controlled from here. So the first thing first, do you want the icon list to be vertically visible or should it be horizontally? So I want it to be vertical. You can decide based on your requirement. So this can be address, and then I can go to the icon library and select, say for example, this to represent address. This can be phone number, and then I can go to the icon library and search for phone, maybe this. Next, let's change this to email. Then let's go to icon library. Let's look for envelope, like this. So like you can see here, I have changed the text, I have changed the icons. I can apply link on the entire thing or inline. I can have link for each one of them going to specific pages, right? All of that can be managed from here. Now here I can decide the space between these items. Should it be in the middle? Should it be on the right hand side, left hand side? Should there be a divider between them? All of that can be controlled from here. The icon color can be controlled from here. On hover, if you wanted to change the color, it can be controlled from here under hover section. Now I can also adjust the size from here, the gaps from here. So a lot of style related settings can be changed from here, right? The text color can be the default text color. You can basically do the styling like we did for other elements from the style tab. Then you can add the spacing, the margin and padding from here. Just like any other element, you can control everything and style everything about this element also. Now moving on to the counter. Now this is one very interesting element. You must have seen on a lot of websites, they say that, okay, we have these many clients, or we have served 100 happy customers, or I have maybe 1 million followers on YouTube. So all that basically can be done using this element. So say I want to show that I have 1 million YouTube followers, which is maybe very, very far in the future someday. But here you can see, you can change the number from here. The starting can be 0, or you can make it any number. You can control the speed, all of that, right? So you can change the text from here. Then under styling, you can decide the position. Where should be the position of the title? Right? It can be on the top, on the bottom. So basically you can control the alignment from here. Should the title be on the left hand side, right hand side, in the middle? Where should be the number place, in the middle, left or right, or should it be stretched? All of that can be controlled from here. Now you can do specific designing of the numbers from here. You can do the designing of the text title from here. You can add spacing from here, right? So like this you can design this particular element also. Moving on. So the next element is the progress bar. Another interesting element. You must have seen people using this on their website to show progress of some work, or they can even showcase their skills. So if I add, say I want to show that my skill in web designing is say 80%, right? So I can show that using this progress bar. I can display the title or I can hide the title. So then I can show multiple such progress bar. just right click and duplicate, right click and duplicate. So now I can show progress for different things. So for this particular progress bar, maybe I can say Python, right? And I can say my skill level is 100% in Python. Something else, I can say automation, and here I can add say a 60%. So like you can see, I can have multiple skills here that I can showcase to my customers. So the text can be changed from here, right? I can change the text for automation from here. So now we can style this from this tab, right? We can style the color of the title, the color of the percentage, the background color, the inner text, right? Similarly, if you want to just copy this setting, just right click, copy and paste style. So you see, we have designed the progress bar. So every time a visitor comes to our website, they will see this progress bar on our website. So that was the progress bar. Then you can do the advanced settings from here about padding and all those things. So which is similar for every element. The next element is testimonials. So if you say, for example, if you are selling something on your website or you're providing a service, a testimonial is always a good way for your visitors to know that you can be trusted. A testimonial element lets you add some text that could be a testimonial from any of your customers or clients. It would have an image box where you can have an image of your client and their name and whatever designation they have. So let me show you an example of this from one of my websites. So here you can see this testimonial box, right? Here it contains an icon, there's some testimonial. So this can be an example of a testimonial, right? So we can design this, we can add the content from the content section, we can upload, choose an image, let this be our client, maybe this one, this kid is happy with our school. We can give a name here, the title. If you want people to visit the website of your client, they can do that by if you add the link of your customer's website over here, right? The position of the image can be on the top, on the left hand side, alignment, right? So all of this content related settings can be done from here. Then you can style it. The text can be, say, in a different color, could be the secondary color. The image, if you want to add a border to it, you can add a solid border of 5 pixels and you can decide the color like this, right? The name can be of a specific color and typography. The title could be also of a specific color and typography. So like this you can design this testimonial section also. So let me add some spacing here so that it looks better. Add some padding under, right? So like this you can have a testimonial written by your customer on your website. So all the other advanced settings can be done from the advanced tab. Now moving on, let's look at the social links. So social link is self-explanatory. So if you want to ever add the links of your social channels like Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Instagram, you can do that by using these social link icons. So let me show you an example. So here on this website, I have these social links at the bottom, right? On this website also, I have social links over here, right? On this website, there are social links over here. So this is mostly put in the footer section, but you can also put them anywhere else in your website based on your requirement. Now here also from the content section, you can decide the icons, what should be the link. You can place the link over here. You can decide if the color should be the official color or you want some custom color that you use on your website. You can add more icons from here. Say I want an Instagram icon also, so I'll select it, and now you can see the Instagram icon is also added. So you can add all these icons to social channels from here, and you can add their link under links in each one of these. You can decide the shape. Should it be circle? Should it be square? So all of that can be decided from there. Then alignment can be decided from here, right? So should they be in 2 columns, or should they be arranged in 3 columns, or you want them to be auto? That can be controlled from here. Then you can style them. Size of the icons can be decided from this. If you want to add any padding inside the icon, the spacing between the icons, the row gaps. If these icons are in multiple rows, you can adjust the gap between the rows. If you want to add a border, you can add it using this. You can make a solid border of a particular color. So you can create a border like this. Then if you want some action to happen on hover, you can use these settings, and then you can do the advanced spacing, margin, padding from here. Now moving on, the next element is alert. So this is basically used to add some kind of an alert message or something highlighting on your website page. So it's mostly an info type of message. It could be a success message, it could be a warning message, or it could be a danger message. So the settings for all of these can be done under site settings in Elementor, and once you do that, every time you want to put some kind of a success, warning, danger, or info message, you just select it from here, and the corresponding settings will automatically apply. The color of the text, the background color, the color of heading, everything will change. And you can just change the heading over here, add the text over here. You can show or hide icons. You can add icons from here. You can do basic styling, the title styling, description styling, and the dismiss icon. Like this is the dismiss icon. You can change that. You can add padding, margin from here. So that was the alert. Now this particular element, SoundCloud, lets you add a music file from SoundCloud on your website. I have never used this on any of my website, but again, you just have to paste the link here for that particular content, and then you can switch on and off these options over here based on what options you want to provide to your customers, and then do the advanced margin, padding, and other settings from here. Moving on, the shortcode and HTML, these two are a little technical, and I don't think you will require them in basic website development, but in the future, when we come across a usage for this in the tutorials, I will show how to use these. Moving forward to the menu anchor. Now this is an interesting element. Now what this does is that if you want some kind of an action to happen, say for example you are at the top of the page and you want people to click a text or some button to reach a specific location on the page, you can use this anchor. So for example, let's move this menu anchor to the top of this particular container. So now we have put the anchor over here at the top of this particular container under general elements. Now I can add an ID here with hash general. Now I can just copy this ID, and I want people, when they press this button, they should reach that particular container which has all the general elements. So here I can just, instead of link, I can just paste this hash general, and that's it. Now when I click over here, the website will automatically scroll down to the general element section. So that's the purpose of this anchor. You can make people move from top to bottom, or if for example people reach at the bottom of the page and you want them to go back to top, You can even provide that option on your website. By clicking that button, people can actually reach back to the top of the page. So that's the purpose of this anchor element. So next we have this sidebar element. Again, this is a little advanced, so we will look at it in the future. Read more, again a slightly advanced thing for you at this stage. Rating, now you must have seen on a lot of e-commerce websites there is rating for different products. Similarly, you can add rating on your website also using this particular element. So if you add this element over here, you can see that there are these 5 stars, right? So you can decide how many stars you want. You want more than 5 stars, you want 7 stars or 10 stars. You can control that from here. So for now, let's let it be 5 stars. And then how much rating you want to give to yourself, say for example 3.5. When I change that, you can see only 3.5 stars are now in yellow color, rest of them are gray. So we can control the alignment from here. If you don't want to use a star icon, you can use some other icon or upload some icon of your own from here. Now moving on to style, you can decide the size of these icons from here. So now it's more clearly visible to you, right? You can see 3.5 stars are highlighted and rest 1.5 are in gray color. You can decide the spacing, the color, what should be the unmarked color, what should be the highlighted color. That can be controlled from here. The margin and padding, as usual, can be controlled from here. Now moving on, the last element that we are going to look at is this text path. Now this is an interesting element because it lets you create a wavy look for your text. So here you can see that you can add the text here from content, and then you can decide how that text should look like. Should it be like a wave? Should it be like an arc? Should it be in a circle? Should it be in a line? Right? Should it be oval? So all of that can be controlled from here. You want it to be spiral, or say for example we want it to be a circle, right? Then you can add a link to this particular text. You can decide the direction, right to left or left to right. If I decide left to right, then the direction would be different. Right to left, the direction would be different. Alignment, do you want it to be in the center, right or left? You want to see the path, show the path, you can switch this on. You can style the size of the text from here, rotate the text along that path from here, right? You can decide the typography, word spacing, starting point, the color, hover color. So all of this can be controlled from here. Let me add some padding also, or margin between this and the one above. Yeah. So now it's more clearly visible. So this is how you can use this particular element also. So these were all the general elements. We have seen all the general elements and all the basic elements till now. So I hope I was able to give you some idea about these elements and how to use them on your website. In the next video, we'll look at some other elements that are available on the Elementor canvas. Now you can get access to the link in the description, and then you can go to my website and look at all the screenshots with text written on it with a little bit of guidance. So you can look at these different elements and their features at your own pace on the website. So the link is in the description. Please feel free to go there and go through the screenshots. So I hope you got some value from this video. I'll see you in the next one. Have a nice day.